Stop moving over like you don't belong here. Stop apologizing for your own body. This audacity is an arrogance. It's law. Most of us were trained for safety. We learned to be small to avoid noise, avoid trouble, avoid being just too much. And I did that until I didn't. For 1 month, I refused to move for anyone, and the faces taught me everything I needed to know. You see, a few years back, there was this thing going on in social media where if you were a woman in society, you're expected to move over, especially if you are a Black woman. So if you're out and about and you're walking and someone coming the opposite direction towards you, you are expected to move. And I remember when that concept came to me, I immediately within myself got super defensive. I was like, I don't do that. I don't immediately move. That's just so rude, but it really bothered me. And so I didn't tell anyone. I quietly did the challenge for a month. If I knew that I was already walking in a space, I already had the right of way, and then they just come up out of nowhere, I didn't move. And I remember the first time, my natural instinct, it really was to move over. And I remember the fear that if I didn't move over, of this stranger, this person who I just happened to be in existence with. And that really troubled me. And I started thinking about all the other areas in my life where I wasn't taking up space, where I was shrinking, where I was not showing up fully. And so the next time, if someone walked toward me, I didn't shift. I didn't sidestep. I didn't disappear. I held my head up and I looked straight ahead, rolled my shoulders back because I belong here just as much as anyone else. And the faces, OMG, the faces, honey, the disgust, the rage, the pure shock, because I dared to exist without apologizing, because I dared to be a Black woman who didn't yield her ground. And that fueled my fire even more, because it was an expectation for me to always, they were never expected to move over for me. And it was different age groups, different ethnicities, different genders, all were expecting me to move out of the way. And then I rolled over, and I rolled that over into other areas. When I rode an elevator, I stood my ground. When I sat at a cafe table, oh baby, where it was an inconvenience for someone else, but I was already there and I already had the right of way, and I might have been in a doorway. Oh, the people glared, honey, and threw their nose up and rolled their eyes at me. You are not an inconvenience. I want to remind you of that today. They told you leaving space was courtesy, and that was the training manual for you to shrink. Stop mistaking courtesy for consent to disappear. Now, I'm not saying be rude. I'm not saying any of that. But I'm saying if you have the right of way, don't always be the first one to just yield just because it makes you uncomfortable to take up space. See, during that time, I had to declare these things. I had to declare that the system trains you to be small. Smallness keeps you visible only as a comfort to others. I was making them comfortable, but I was so uncomfortable. But sovereignty begins the moment you resist that training. When I stopped moving, I wasn't defying them. I was remembering myself. And that's when it hit me. That the real fear wasn't their faces. The real fear was loss. The loss of belonging. The loss of safety under somebody else's covering. I had spent my life under leaders and mentors and these giants that I just highly esteemed. And I thought I needed them to survive. But as long as I stood under them, I would never see the giant in me. I would stay childlike, and they would stay as the authority, and my power would stay buried. So don't confuse consequence with defeat. You will lose people, and that's good. Because losing the wrong people is part of the graduation. And as someone who feared loss, that was so big, such a monumentous concept to grab a hold of, because I didn't want to lose anyone. I was kind of happy being small, but there was this ache, this hollow ache that said, no, baby, you are meant for more. And I could never see my greatness as long as I kept it buried under somebody else's shadow. So how to take up space? These are some things that I did, and I'm going to give you a few examples that you can use. Take whatever feels normal or comfortable for you to do. One thing you can do a micro claim. You can stand your ground in a small public moment for 7 days. That can be a grocery line, a sidewalk, a bus or a train seat. Those small little moments, I'm telling you, they matter. Do it for 7 days. See what happens. And you can say to yourself, I will not move this week unless I choose to. Another one you can do, you can have a verbal boundary. You can replace the word sorry with excuse me or silence. Now that was a tough one, because sitting in that uncomfortable silence, that's when I was really taking back my power. Especially when you know you're not wrong. You don't always have to apologize to someone else for existing to be on this earth. Another thing you can do, you can make a visual claim. Use posture anchors like your chest open, your shoulders back. You can journal as your highest and best self. And that's exactly what I did when I started getting comfortable taking up space. I would hold my head up high and I would look straight ahead, and I would not let the snarls and the gestures and the rage and the anger and all of that, I wouldn't focus on that. I wouldn't let it deter me. So something as small as just holding your head up can make the biggest difference on earth. Another thing you can do is an economic claim. That's where you can have a price or ask like you already belong. So pricing, communication, donation, ask. Don't be afraid to speak up for yourself, basically, in any type of capacity. Don't be afraid to, if you are an entrepreneur, don't be afraid to ask your value. If you want more out of life, more than what you're experiencing, don't be afraid to go to that high-end store or high-end dealership and go test drive the cars. Go walk in the neighborhoods of the future neighborhood you want to live in. Go to a cafe there. Buy a cup of coffee or a cup of tea and move like you belong there. So you're not taking up space to anger them. You're taking up space to show yourself and others in your sphere, those that are around you, that a terrain that receives them. That's not being petty. It's generational. It's showing those around you that, hey, if I can take up space, you can too. And not only you, but if you have children, our community, we all can take up space because we have a right to be here. This is not only for you, this is for your lineage. Taking up space felt like rebellion, but it wasn't rebellion. It was remembrance. The moment I stood my ground, I realized I was never small. I was just trained to shrink. And the system survives on that training. Because if you never stand, you never see your size. And I'm going to tell you, once you plant your feet on your ground, you will realize you were a giant all along, my dear. Now, declare these sentences. They might feel a little off-putting at first, but as you embody your whole self, walking in the fullness of who you were created to be, these won't feel so foreign. And one of the things that I learned and I said to myself is presence is not earned. You are born, you have breath in your body. Your heartbeat validates that you are supposed to be here. You are not a mistake. I don't care what anyone or anybody have to say. And that is a law, that is a principle that I just had to settle within myself. Another declaration you can say, the ground recognizes its owner. The ground that you walk on, the wind that blows, it all recognizes that you are here and it supports you. Another law, audacity is remembrance, not rebellion. You are just remembering that you are wonderfully made. You are beautifully made. You are created with a purpose. You're not here by happenstance. You are the owner of the ground that you stand on. So stop moving over. Stop making yourself a hallway for other people's comfort. If you're listening to this video and you've made it this far, was there a shift in your body today? If so, it's remembering law. Take one small claim today. Stand where you would usually move. Hold it for a minute. Then DM me what happened, because I would love to hear your story. And you can also download my free 5-minute morning reset. The link will be in the description. And you can anchor your audacity every morning, because we all need that reminder sometimes of who we truly are.